Welcome to Learn English by Reading. Today, we will dive into the inspiring story of a young girl who started with a simple lemonade stand and, through determination and clever thinking, built something much bigger. Imagine a sunny afternoon, a small table set up on the corner of a quiet street, and a girl with bright eyes and a curious mind ready to sell her first glass of lemonade. At first, it seemed like a small, ordinary task, but her heart was full of ambition and hope. She didn't know it yet, but every effort she made, every challenge she faced, was laying the foundation for something extraordinary. This story is not just about lemonade, it's about dreaming big, taking small steps, and learning from every experience along the way. As we read, you will see how her curiosity, resilience, and creativity turned a tiny idea into a journey full of lessons, growth, and success. By following her story, you will not only improve your English, but also discover practical lessons about perseverance, planning, and believing in yourself, no matter where you start. The dream begins. The girl lived in a small, cozy neighborhood where everyone knew each other. Her house was modest, with peeling paint on the walls and a little garden in front, but inside it was filled with warmth, love, and laughter. Her family didn't have much money. Her parents worked hard every day, her father in a local workshop, and her mother taking care of odd jobs in the home. Even though their income was small, they always found ways to make life comfortable and happy. The girl, however, had dreams that felt much larger than the walls of her little home. She often sat by the window, looking out at the busy streets, imagining herself doing something extraordinary, something that could change not only her life, but also make her family proud. One afternoon, while helping her mother squeeze fresh lemons for juice, an idea suddenly came to her. What if I could sell lemonade to people passing by, she thought. It seemed simple, almost too small, but in that small idea, she felt a spark. She imagined setting up a bright, colorful stand, serving cold lemonade on hot days, seeing people smile as they drank her creation. The thought of turning this small idea into something real excited her, but it also made her nervous. Her parents noticed her enthusiasm and curiosity. "It sounds like fun, but do you think people will buy it?" her father asked cautiously. Her mother smiled warmly, but with a hint of concern. "It's a good idea, but remember, it will take work, and there will be challenges," she said. The girl listened carefully, understanding that while dreams were wonderful, turning them into reality was never easy. She thought about what she needed: lemons, sugar, cups, and a small table. She also thought about her location, where she could set up her stand so people would notice it. These details seemed small, but each one felt important. The girl realized that this was the beginning of something bigger than just selling lemonade. It was a first step toward learning how to plan, take action, and face challenges head on. Despite her excitement, she felt fear. What if nobody came? What if people didn't like her lemonade? These questions worried her, but she remembered the stories her parents told her about hard work, patience, and perseverance. Every person she admired had started small, learning and improving with every step. She reminded herself that it was okay to be scared, because fear often meant she was doing something important. With determination, she wrote a small list of tasks. First, she would help her mother make the lemonade. Then, she would find a suitable spot in her neighborhood. She even thought about making a small sign, bright and cheerful to attract attention, each step felt like a tiny adventure. As she prepared, she imagined herself talking to customers, serving lemonade with a smile, and seeing their happy reactions. This mental picture gave her confidence and motivated her to move forward. Her friends in the neighborhood noticed her excitement. "Are you really going to sell lemonade?" one asked. "Yes, I want to see if I can do it," she replied, her eyes shining. Some laughed, thinking it was just a child's game, but others were curious and supportive. She felt a mix of pride and nervousness. She knew that taking this step required courage, but the thought of turning her small dream into reality kept her moving. Every evening, she reflected on her plan. She thought about how her lemonade could be different, maybe sweeter, colder, or with a little extra touch that would make people want to come back. She wanted to give value, even in something so small. She also realized she had to manage her time well, balancing school, helping at home, and running her lemonade stand. This was her first lesson in responsibility and planning. Finally, the day arrived. She carried her small table, a jug of lemonade, cups, and her handmade sign to the chosen corner near a busy street. Her heart raced as she set everything up. Passers-by glanced curiously, some smiling, some ignoring her. She greeted every person politely, offering a taste and explaining how refreshing the lemonade was. At first, only a few people stopped, but slowly her enthusiasm, friendliness, and the taste of her lemonade began to attract more customers. That day, she sold more lemonade than she had expected. Each cup sold gave her a sense of achievement and joy. She realized that her small idea, combined with action and courage, could produce real results. She also noticed that planning, effort, and patience mattered more than luck. By the end of the day, she had earned a small profit, enough to buy more lemons for the next day. More importantly, she had built confidence in her own abilities. That evening, she shared her experience with her parents. Her father nodded proudly. "You worked hard, planned carefully, and made it happen," he said. Her mother hugged her. "I'm proud of you." "Remember, this is just the beginning," she added. The girl smiled, feeling a mix of pride and excitement. She knew that tomorrow and the days after would bring more challenges, more lessons, and more opportunities to grow. Through this experience, the girl learned something essential. Dreams, no matter how small they start, can grow into something meaningful if combined with action, creativity, and determination. She also learned to face her fears, plan carefully, and find joy in small successes. This was the true beginning of her journey from a simple lemonade stand to something much greater. A journey that would teach her about entrepreneurship, resilience, and the power of believing in oneself. Facing the first challenges. The excitement of her first day selling lemonade quickly met the reality of challenges. The girl had imagined long lines of customers, smiles on every face, and her little stand bustling with energy. In her mind, success seemed simple. Make lemonade, sell it, and earn a small fortune. But the moment she set up her table the next morning, she realized that dreams often collided with reality. The first problem was money. Although she had earned a little from her first day, it was barely enough to buy more lemons and sugar for the next day. She wanted to improve her stand, maybe add colorful decorations or make signs that would catch people's attention. But everything cost money. Her savings were tiny, and the idea of spending even a little felt risky. Each coin she decided to spend felt like a decision that could either help her succeed or waste her hard-earned profit. Then came the skepticism of her peers. Some friends laughed when they saw her preparing the stand. "Who would buy lemonade from a kid?" they teased. Even some neighbors shook their heads, doubting that such a small effort could lead to anything meaningful. At first their words hurt, and she wondered if she had made a mistake. She asked herself quietly, maybe they're right. Maybe this is too small, too silly. The doubts gnawed at her, but deep inside, a spark of determination refused to die. Making the stand attractive was another challenge. Her first attempt was simple: a small table covered with a cloth, a jug of lemonade, and a few cups. But customers walked by without stopping. She realized that a plain table was not enough. People were drawn to color, brightness, and a sense of care. She needed something eye-catching. The girl thought about her favorite colors and decorations she had seen at local markets. With the little money she had, she bought colored markers and cardboard to make a sign. It wasn't perfect, but it added a sense of personality and charm. Even with her new sign, business was slow at times. Some mornings, hardly anyone stopped. On those quiet days, she felt discouraged. She wondered if all her efforts were wasted. She compared her dreams of bustling activity with the reality of empty streets and slow sales. But instead of giving up, she used these moments to reflect. She asked herself what she could do differently. She experimented with placement, moving her stand closer to areas where people passed by more often. She tried different ways of greeting customers, smiling brightly and offering small samples. Slowly, she began to see small improvements. Her determination grew as she faced these challenges. She realized that hard work was not just about effort. It was about learning from mistakes and adjusting. Each challenge became a lesson. When the lemonade wasn't sweet enough, she adjusted the recipe. When the stand wasn't visible, she improved her signs. When sales were slow, she thought creatively about ways to attract attention, like offering a small discount or sharing her lemonade with neighbors to spread the word. Every small change taught her about problem solving, patience, and resilience. The skepticism from others continued, but she began to see it differently. Instead of letting it discourage her, she used it as motivation. Every doubt cast by a friend or neighbor became fuel to prove herself. She understood that not everyone would believe in her, and that was okay. What mattered was her own belief and consistent effort. She reminded herself that even the most successful people faced doubts and criticism before achieving their goals. Financial limitations forced her to think creatively. She couldn't buy fancy decorations, so she used what she had at home: colored papers, a few old jars, and even pebbles from the garden to make the stand more inviting. She learned to make the most out of small resources, realizing that innovation often arises from necessity. Her humble stand began to attract attention simply because she put care and creativity into it, not because she had money to spend. Self-doubt still crept in during the toughest moments. On days when only one or two customers stopped by, she questioned whether she could continue. "Is this worth it?" she thought. But then she remembered the joy she felt when someone complimented her lemonade or returned for a second cup. These small victories reminded her why she started and gave her the courage to continue. She also kept a small notebook, jotting down ideas, observations, and improvements for each day. This habit helped her see progress even when it seemed slow. The girl also learned about perseverance through consistency. Some days required patience, standing under the sun, serving lemonade to only a few people, but she noticed that each day added experience. She became faster at preparing the lemonade, more confident in greeting customers, and more aware of how to arrange her stand. She realized that skill and confidence grew through repeated practice, not overnight. This insight was one of the most important lessons of her journey so far. Her parents watched her with pride, even as she struggled. Her father reminded her gently, "Success doesn't happen in one day. Every step you take is part of your journey." Her mother added, "Mistakes are not failures. They are lessons. Keep learning, keep trying." These words became a mantra for the girl. She understood that challenges were not signs to quit, but opportunities to grow stronger and smarter. As weeks passed, the girl's lemonade stand slowly gained recognition. Neighbors began to stop by regularly, and some friends even became supportive, offering suggestions and encouragement. She realized that persistence, creativity, and hard work could overcome the initial difficulties she faced. The contrast between her early struggles and these small successes motivated her further. She began to dream bigger, thinking about ways to improve the business even more. Through these challenges, the girl discovered her own resilience. She learned that fear, doubt, and skepticism were natural, but they could be transformed into motivation. She learned to plan, experiment, and solve problems creatively. Most importantly, she discovered the satisfaction that comes from facing difficulties and finding ways to overcome them. These early struggles were shaping her character and laying the foundation for her future success. By the end of this stage in her journey, she no longer saw her small stand as just a lemonade table. It had become a learning ground, a place to practice patience, creativity, problem-solving, and determination. Every obstacle she faced strengthened her resolve and taught her skills that money could not buy. She understood that hard work, persistence, and self-belief were far more important than initial ease or immediate success. The girl was beginning to see that challenges were not setbacks. They were essential stepping stones toward her dream. The lessons of those first difficult weeks stayed with her. She realized that her high expectations had been a starting point, but reality required effort, adaptation, and resilience. By confronting difficulties head-on, she gained confidence and wisdom far beyond her age. Her humble lemonade stand, which had started as a small idea, was now the center of a personal transformation, one that would eventually lead to something much bigger, teaching her about entrepreneurship, creativity, and the power of persistence. Learning from mistakes. As the girl continued running her lemonade stand, she quickly realized that success required more than just enthusiasm and determination. Each day brought new experiences, and with those experiences came mistakes. Some were small and easily fixed, while others taught her lessons she would never forget. She understood that mistakes were not failures, but opportunities to learn, and each one helped her grow. One of her first mistakes involved pricing. On a particularly hot day, she decided to charge a little more than usual, thinking that people would be willing to pay extra for a refreshing drink. To her surprise, customers hesitated, glanced at the price, and walked away. She felt disappointed and frustrated. "Why don't they want to buy my lemonade?" she wondered. After observing other small stands in the neighborhood, She realized that customers were very price conscious. She quickly learned to balance value and cost, understanding that too high a price could drive people away, while too low a price could reduce her profits. This small adjustment taught her the importance of understanding her customers and their needs. Another mistake involved location. One morning, she set up her stand on a quieter street, thinking it would attract loyal neighbors. But hardly anyone passed by, and her lemonade sat unsold. She felt disheartened and wondered if she should give up. Reflecting on the situation, she recognized that visibility was critical. The best location was not necessarily convenient for her, but where the most people walked by. She experimented with different spots, observing foot traffic, and gradually discovered a location that balanced convenience and visibility. This trial and error process helped her understand the value of research and planning. Customer service was another area where she stumbled. In her excitement, she sometimes rushed through serving, forgetting to smile or engage with people. On one occasion, a customer asked a simple question about the lemonade, and she answered curtly, eager to move on to the next person. The customer left without buying, and she realized that friendliness and attention mattered just as much as the product itself. She began practicing patience, greeting each customer warmly, and listening carefully to feedback. Soon, she noticed a difference. Customers returned, not just for the lemonade, but for the positive experience of being treated kindly. There were also days when she underestimated the supplies she needed. On a busy afternoon, she ran out of cups and lemons halfway through the day. Customers left disappointed, and she felt embarrassed. Reflecting on this, she learned the importance of preparation and planning ahead. She started keeping notes on daily sales, calculating average demand, and ensuring she had enough supplies for busy days. This simple habit of recording data and planning accordingly improved her efficiency and reduced unnecessary stress. Mistakes were not limited to practical problems. Sometimes she misjudged her own energy and time. After school, she would rush to the stand without resting or having a proper snack, leaving herself tired and less attentive. She realized that personal care and energy management were part of running a successful stand. By scheduling her day carefully, taking small breaks, and pacing herself, she maintained focus and enthusiasm. She discovered that success required attention not only to the business, but also to herself. Each mistake she made was a lesson in disguise. She began to embrace errors, seeing them as stepping stones rather than setbacks. Whenever she encountered a problem, she asked herself, "What can I learn from this? How can I do better tomorrow?" This mindset transformed challenges into growth opportunities. She learned to analyze situations, experiment with solutions, and adapt based on results. Over time, she noticed that her decisions became more thoughtful, her problem-solving sharper, and her confidence stronger. The contrast between her early failures and her growing skill was striking. In the beginning, a wrong decision felt discouraging and final. Now, mistakes became temporary obstacles, leading to improvement and insight. She learned to separate the emotion of failure from the practical lesson it offered. Running out of lemonade, losing a customer, or pricing incorrectly no longer felt like personal shortcomings. They were information, helping her make better choices next time. One memorable lesson involved experimenting with a new lemonade recipe. She thought adding extra sugar would make it taste better, but several customers found it too sweet. At first, she felt disappointed, but she quickly gathered feedback and adjusted the recipe. Through this process, she discovered the importance of listening to her customers, testing ideas, and refining her products. This experience taught her that success was rarely about guessing correctly on the first try. It was about learning, adjusting, and improving continuously. By the end of these early weeks, the girl had transformed her approach. Mistakes no longer intimidated her. They guided her. She became more observant, asking questions, listening to advice, and paying attention to details she had previously overlooked. She also became more confident in taking calculated risks, knowing that even if things didn't go perfectly, she could learn and adapt. Each misstep added to her growing knowledge, shaping her into a thoughtful, creative, and resilient young entrepreneur. The girl also learned an important lesson about perspective. While mistakes sometimes made her feel small or frustrated, she realized that every successful person had faced similar challenges. Her parents, local business owners, and even friends had all made errors and learned from them. By embracing her mistakes and reflecting on them, she felt connected to a larger story of growth, persistence, and learning. She understood that perfection was not the goal, improvement was. As the lemonade stand became a small, thriving operation, she noticed the tangible results of her learning process. Customers returned regularly, word of mouth spread, and her confidence grew. What once felt like failure, mispriced lemonade, poor placement, impatient service, had become a foundation for smarter decisions, better planning, and stronger skills. Each small improvement, built on the lessons of past mistakes, brought her closer to her bigger dream, creating something that mattered beyond a single lemonade stand. Through this period, the girl realized that mistakes were essential to growth. They revealed weaknesses, sparked creativity, and encouraged problem solving. They also highlighted her resilience, the ability to face disappointment, analyze what went wrong, and take action to improve. The contrast between her early errors and the knowledge she gained was a powerful reminder. Growth often comes from doing, failing, reflecting, and trying again. By embracing mistakes, she developed qualities that no textbook could teach: patience, observation, flexibility, and resilience. These qualities, learned through small errors and adjustments, became the foundation of her future success. She understood that challenges were opportunities in disguise, and each lesson she learned brought her one step closer to turning her simple lemonade stand into a thriving business. The first successes. After weeks of experimenting, learning from mistakes, and refining her approach, the girl began to notice the first signs of real success. It started with small moments that felt monumental. A neighbor stopping by for a cup of lemonade and smiling after the first sip, or a passerby returning to buy a second cup. These small victories were the first tangible rewards for her hard work, and they filled her with excitement and confidence. For the first time, she could see the results of her persistence and creativity, and it felt magical. Her first consistent customers were neighbors who appreciated her effort and the friendliness she brought to each interaction. One elderly man, who often walked by her stand in the afternoon, became a regular. "This is the best lemonade I've tasted in years," he said one day, handing her a few coins with a generous smile. The girl felt a sense of pride and accomplishment she had never experienced before. It was proof that her hard work was paying off, that her ideas and efforts could create something of value in the real world. Small profits began to accumulate. At first, it was only a few coins, barely enough to cover the next day's ingredients. Yet even this modest income felt like a victory. She kept careful notes of every sale, adding up totals and calculating costs. The process taught her about basic business management, budgeting, and planning. With each coin earned, she gained not only financial confidence, but also a deeper understanding of responsibility. Every cup sold was a lesson in managing resources and learning how effort translates into reward. These successes contrasted sharply with her early struggles. She remembered days when no one stopped at her stand, when mistakes in pricing or location left her discouraged. Now, seeing people deliberately coming to buy her lemonade made her realize how much she had grown. The girl understood that progress often comes slowly, but perseverance could turn small efforts into meaningful results. Each success built upon the lessons she had learned from failures, reinforcing the value of resilience, observation, and adaptability. Beyond profits, the joy of seeing people enjoy her lemonade was perhaps the most rewarding. Children would run up eagerly, asking for a cup, their eyes wide with excitement. Parents would thank her for providing a refreshing drink on a hot day. Even those who initially doubted her effort began to notice her dedication and skill. These reactions motivated her to continue improving, to experiment with flavors, and to serve each customer with care. The feedback loop of effort and reward became a powerful driver for her enthusiasm. Her confidence grew as she realized she could plan effectively and implement changes based on experience. She began to anticipate busy times, arranging her supplies to meet demand. She experimented with small promotions, offering free samples to new customers and discounts for repeat buyers. Gradually, word of mouth spread, and her stand became more popular. People who once ignored her now stopped to see what she had to offer. This contrast, between being overlooked at first and now attracting attention, highlighted how dedication and learning from mistakes could lead to tangible results. The girl also noticed how her mindset had shifted. Early on, fear and doubt had held her back. She worried about making mistakes, losing money, or being ridiculed. But with these small successes, she began to see her potential and capabilities. Confidence didn't mean she expected everything to go perfectly, but it gave her the courage to keep trying and innovating. Each victory reinforced the belief that effort, persistence, and careful observation could overcome obstacles. Even minor achievements brought lessons in customer interaction and business sense. She learned the importance of greeting people warmly, explaining what made her lemonade special, and paying attention to feedback. A simple compliment from a customer taught her the value of communication and care. When someone suggested a tweak to the recipe, she listened and experimented. These early interactions were shaping her understanding of service, quality, and the human side of business. Her first successes also taught her about planning for growth. With a little profit saved, she considered buying better cups, more lemons, or even small decorations to attract attention. These decisions required thinking ahead, weighing costs and benefits, and imagining the potential impact of each investment. Through this, she learned a key lesson about entrepreneurship. Small wins provide resources and insights to fuel the next step forward. Every tiny achievement became a building block for bigger goals. The contrast between her early failures and these first successes was stark. Where once she faced rejection, empty streets, and mistakes, now she saw people coming willingly, returning for more, and leaving satisfied. The girl reflected on how far she had come and felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Her initial struggles had not been wasted. They were the foundation for understanding customers, refining her product, and building confidence. Success, she realized, was a process, not an instant outcome. Her joy was not only personal, but also shared with her family. She ran home after long days, eager to tell her parents about the sales and positive reactions. They celebrated every small achievement with her, praising her creativity, determination, and resilience. These moments reinforced her motivation and helped her maintain a positive mindset. She realized that sharing success, no matter how small, made the journey more meaningful and enjoyable. The girl's growing confidence allowed her to plan for bigger challenges. She began thinking about expanding her stand, trying new lemonade flavors, or creating small signs to make the stand more attractive. Her imagination was fueled by the positive feedback she received from customers and the small profits she earned. Each step forward, no matter how modest, strengthened her belief in her abilities and her potential to grow beyond a simple lemonade stand. These early victories also taught her the value of patience and persistence. Success did not happen overnight, but consistent effort and learning from experience produced results. She recognized that each day, each interaction, and each adjustment contributed to her growing knowledge and skill. The contrast between the frustration of her first attempts and the satisfaction of seeing her stand flourish highlighted the importance of perseverance and continuous improvement. By the end of these early successes, the girl felt more capable, confident, and motivated than ever before. She understood that small wins could snowball into larger achievements when combined with reflection, learning, and consistent effort. Her lemonade stand had become more than just a small business. It was a place where she developed essential skills, learned to overcome challenges, and experienced the joy of seeing her hard work rewarded. The journey from struggle to success taught her a valuable lesson. Growth is rarely linear, but each step, each trial, and each small victory matters. The girl's story shows that even the smallest beginnings can lead to meaningful achievements if met with determination, creativity, and resilience. Her first successes were just the start, but they marked a turning point, a moment where effort met reward and dreams began to feel real. Scaling up the business. After enjoying the excitement of her first successes, the girl realized that her small lemonade stand could become something more. The simple joy of selling lemonade had grown into a sense of purpose and ambition. She began thinking beyond a single table on a quiet street. What if she could offer more than just one flavor? What if more people could enjoy her lemonade, or she could find ways to attract larger crowds? The possibilities excited her, and for the first time, she started to envision a business that could grow beyond her imagination. The first step was improving her product. She experimented with different lemonade recipes, trying variations with mint, berries, and even a hint of ginger. She tested each version carefully, asking friends, neighbors, and repeat customers for feedback. Some recipes were too sour, others too sweet, but each attempt taught her something new about taste, preferences, and presentation. She learned the importance of experimenting systematically and listening to customer feedback to refine her offerings. Through trial and error, she gradually developed a menu that included a variety of lemonade flavors, making her stand more appealing to a wider audience. Alongside product improvements, she considered marketing strategies. She realized that having a great product was not enough. People needed to know about it. With a small budget, she created simple flyers using colored paper and markers, inviting people to try her lemonade. She even painted a few signs and placed them near busy streets, parks, and playgrounds. Her marketing was modest but effective, as it drew curiosity and new customers who had never noticed her stand before. She learned that attracting attention required creativity, consistency, and a willingness to experiment. Managing increased interest brought new challenges. On busy days, she had more customers than she had ever seen. Lines formed, and she had to work faster, managing multiple orders at once. Her earlier lessons in preparation became critical. She had to keep enough cups, ice, and lemons on hand. She realized that scaling up meant careful planning, not just enthusiasm. Each decision, how much lemonade to prepare, how to serve efficiently, how to handle payments, required thought and attention. These were new responsibilities, but she approached them with energy and curiosity. Costs also increased. More ingredients, extra cups, and signs required careful budgeting. She began tracking her expenses meticulously, noting which flavors sold best and which days were busiest. She learned the importance of balancing costs with potential profit. Sometimes she had to make difficult decisions, like limiting less popular flavors or adjusting prices slightly to cover expenses. Each choice taught her valuable lessons about resource management, efficiency, and prioritization, skills that would be essential for any business, no matter the size. Customer interactions became more complex as well. With more visitors, she encountered a wider variety of people with different expectations and preferences. Some customers requested adjustments to the recipe or had questions about ingredients. Others were impatient or distracted. She realized that scaling up required strong communication, patience, and empathy. She learned to handle complaints gracefully, thank loyal customers, and maintain a friendly demeanor even under pressure. These interpersonal skills were as important as product quality in building a strong reputation. She also began to think about branding. Her stand had always been colorful and cheerful, but she wanted to create a recognizable identity that people would remember. She experimented with logos, hand-drawn designs, and catchy names for her lemonade flavors. She wanted her customers to feel a connection to the stand, to associate it with a positive experience. This sense of branding helped her stand out, and she noticed that people began asking for specific flavors by name. She realized that creating a brand wasn't just about visual appeal, it was about building trust and familiarity with customers. Despite the excitement of growth, challenges persisted. On some days, ingredients ran out faster than expected, or a sudden rainstorm forced her to close early. Sometimes, she miscalculated demand and ended up with leftover lemonade that went to waste. Each challenge was frustrating, but she had learned to see them as opportunities to problem solve. She developed contingency plans, such as having extra supplies ready and preparing for weather changes. She also began tracking patterns, like which days were busiest or which flavors were most popular, so she could plan more accurately. Through this process, she realized that scaling a business required not only creativity and effort, but also organization, analysis, and foresight. The contrast between her humble beginnings and her new ambitions became clear. What had started as a small table on a quiet street was transforming into a miniature operation with multiple flavors, a small marketing strategy, and a growing customer base. She began to see herself not just as a girl selling lemonade, but as a young entrepreneur learning how to run a business. Each improvement, each challenge, and each success reinforced her growing vision for the future. She imagined someday expanding beyond a single stand, perhaps creating a small company that could employ others or offer her products to a wider community. Her mindset evolved as well. Early on, she had focused solely on selling lemonade and making small profits. Now she thought strategically about growth, efficiency, and customer experience. She considered long-term goals and how her current efforts could contribute to them. This shift in thinking marked an important stage in her journey, showing that scaling a business required both action and planning, creativity and structure. The girl also discovered the importance of persistence during this stage. Scaling up was not always smooth or predictable. Some experiments failed, some days were slow, and sometimes customers were less responsive than expected, yet each setback offered insight and guidance for improvement. She learned to approach obstacles with curiosity, asking herself what could be done differently next time. This resilience, developed through hands-on experience, strengthened her confidence and reinforced the idea that growth required patience and adaptability. By the end of this phase, her lemonade stand had become more than a simple summer project. It was a small-scale business that required thought, planning, and careful execution. She had developed a system for managing customers, inventory, and finances, all while maintaining quality and friendliness. She had experimented with flavors, marketing, and branding, learning lessons that would serve her well in future ventures. Most importantly, she had expanded her vision, seeing the humble stand as the first step toward a much larger goal. Through scaling up, the girl learned that growth required balancing creativity with discipline, expanding product options, improving her recipes, investing in small marketing efforts, and managing costs were all part of a larger process. Each step forward was built on the lessons of her earlier struggles and successes, demonstrating that meaningful growth comes from reflection, learning, and strategic action. The contrast between her small beginnings and her ambitious vision highlighted the power of perseverance, curiosity, and adaptability. She now saw that her lemonade stand was more than a way to earn money. It was a place to develop skills, build confidence, and explore the possibilities of entrepreneurship. Every challenge she faced in scaling up taught her something new about herself, her customers, and the world of business. She was learning not just how to sell lemonade, but how to think like an entrepreneur, balancing vision, strategy, and action. By the time she packed up her stand at the end of a long, busy day, the girl reflected on how far she had come. From a small idea born on a quiet street corner, she had grown into someone capable of planning, experimenting, and executing a more complex operation. She understood that scaling up wasn't just about increasing sales, it was about growth in skills, knowledge, and mindset. Each small success, challenge, and adjustment brought her closer to turning a simple lemonade stand into a thriving, meaningful venture. Overcoming major obstacles. As the girl's lemonade stand grew, so did her confidence and ambition. She had learned to manage her customers, experiment with flavors, and plan for small successes. But growth also meant facing bigger challenges, obstacles that tested not only her business skills, but her courage and resilience. One hot summer morning, she discovered a new challenge that shook her determination. A competitor had set up a lemonade stand just across the street. At first, she felt a pang of fear and frustration. The competitor was older, with a larger table, bright signs, and even a cooler to keep lemonade cold. Customers who had once come to her now stopped at the other stand, drawn by the novelty and the professional appearance. The girl's heart sank. She remembered her humble beginnings and wondered if all her hard work had been in vain. For a moment, she considered closing her stand and giving up. But then, she took a deep breath and reminded herself of everything she had learned so far: persistence, creativity, and the power of problem-solving. Instead of retreating, she observed her competitor carefully. She noticed what people liked about the other stand: the cooler lemonade, the neat signage, and the extra flavors. Instead of feeling discouraged, she treated it as an opportunity to learn. She realized that she needed to differentiate herself, to offer something unique that customers could not find elsewhere. This was her first lesson. Obstacles are often opportunities in disguise. She decided to focus on what made her stand special. Unlike the competitor, she had built relationships with her regular customers, remembered their favorite flavors, and treated every interaction with warmth. She also had the flexibility to experiment quickly, adjusting recipes and trying new ideas without bureaucratic constraints. With a clear plan in mind, she added a few creative touches: a small chalkboard sign displaying daily specials, a refreshing mint lemonade option, and even a tiny loyalty system. Customers who bought 3 cups would get a free cup on their 4th visit. The girl also faced supply challenges during this period. On a particularly busy afternoon, her lemons arrived late from the market, and she had barely enough ingredients to meet the demand. Some customers had to wait longer than usual, and a few left disappointed. She could have panicked, but instead, she used this shortage as a learning experience. She began planning for supply contingencies, keeping extra ingredients and noting peak times to avoid future shortages. She discovered that preparation and adaptability were essential to overcoming obstacles. Bad weather soon added to her challenges. A sudden summer storm forced her to pack up early one day, losing potential sales. But she refused to let the setback defeat her. She quickly brainstormed solutions, thinking about ways to protect her stand from rain, or perhaps move to covered areas during bad weather. She realized that challenges often required creative thinking and flexibility. Each obstacle she faced pushed her to become more strategic and resourceful, transforming potential defeat into problem-solving opportunities. Even the social aspect became a challenge. Some customers were loyal to the competitor, swayed by appearances or new flavors. She felt the sting of losing familiar faces, but she reminded herself that relationships mattered more than quick sales. By engaging customers personally, remembering their preferences, and providing consistent quality, she slowly regained their trust. She understood that long-term success relied on connection and reliability, not just immediate attention-grabbing tactics. The turning point came when she introduced a unique flavor that no one else offered, a tangy lemonade with a hint of fresh ginger and honey. At first, she was nervous. What if customers didn't like it? But to her delight, people loved it. Word spread quickly, and the stand that had seemed threatened by the competitor now attracted a growing crowd. The girl learned a powerful lesson. Innovation, courage, and attention to customer needs could turn challenges into advantages. Her resilience also showed in her mindset. Where she once might have panicked or felt defeated, she now saw obstacles as temporary and manageable. She reminded herself of the times she had faced difficulties before, pricing errors, slow days, and limited supplies, and how she had overcome them. Each success and failure had prepared her for this moment, building skills, patience, and confidence. The contrast between the threat of competition and her determination to succeed highlighted her growth. She realized that challenges were part of the journey and that facing them with creativity and persistence was what set her apart. She began experimenting further with marketing strategies to strengthen her presence. Simple gestures, like offering a free sample to passers-by or creating a cheerful sign highlighting her new ginger honey lemonade, made a big difference. She also encouraged loyal customers to bring friends, creating a small community around her stand. By observing, analyzing, and taking action, she turned what could have been a devastating challenge into an opportunity for growth. The girl also refined her customer service skills. She learned to handle complaints gracefully, thank every customer sincerely, and adapt quickly to changing situations. One day, a young boy complained that his lemonade was too sour. Instead of dismissing his comment, she listened carefully, adjusted the recipe, and offered him a fresh cup. The boy left smiling, and she noticed that he returned the next day with friends. She realized that attention to detail, empathy, and responsiveness could turn potential setbacks into loyalty and trust. Financial management became another focus. With increased demand, she needed to track costs, profits, and investments more carefully. She started using a small notebook to record every transaction, noting which flavors sold best, which days were busiest, and which strategies worked. By analyzing these records, she could make informed decisions about supplies, pricing, and planning for future growth. This disciplined approach gave her a sense of control, even when unexpected challenges arose. Through this period, the contrast between her initial lemonade stand and the growing operation was evident. What had begun as a small table with a few cups of lemonade had become a carefully managed, customer-focused, innovative business. She had learned that success required more than effort. It demanded resilience, strategic thinking, creativity, and attention to detail. The challenges she faced, competition, supply issues, and unpredictable weather, had become opportunities to strengthen her skills and confidence. By the end of this stage, she realized something important. Obstacles were inevitable, but how she responded determined her success. Each problem had tested her patience, creativity, and resourcefulness. Each solution she implemented strengthened her knowledge, her abilities, and her belief in herself. The girl understood that resilience was not just enduring difficulties, but actively seeking solutions, learning from experience, and maintaining determination despite setbacks. The turning point of overcoming major obstacles marked a crucial stage in her journey. The experience taught her that even when circumstances seemed threatening, careful observation, innovation, and persistence could transform challenges into opportunities. She discovered that the difference between failure and success was often mindset, the willingness to act, adapt, and believe in one's ability to overcome difficulties. From this moment on, the girl approached her lemonade stand with a new level of confidence. She knew that future challenges would arise, but she had built the skills, resilience, and strategic thinking needed to navigate them. The contrast between the threatening competitor and her eventual triumph emphasized the power of determination and creativity. She realized that obstacles were not the end of the journey, but essential steps toward achieving her larger dreams. Her lemonade stand had grown beyond a simple table on a street corner. It had become a symbol of persistence, innovation, and the ability to overcome adversity. The girl understood that challenges were a natural part of any meaningful endeavor, and that facing them head-on with creativity and strategy was what allowed her to grow, learn, and succeed. Turning the stand into a company. After months of running her lemonade stand, experimenting with flavors, attracting regular customers, and overcoming challenges, the girl began to envision something much bigger. Her small corner stand had grown into a thriving operation, but she realized that it had the potential to become a real company. The thought was both exciting and daunting. She remembered the first day she set up her tiny table with a jug of lemonade and a few cups. Back then, she had only dreamed of selling to a handful of neighbors. Now she imagined a full-fledged business with employees, multiple products, and a recognizable brand. The contrast between her humble beginnings and the vision she now held was enormous, but it fueled her determination to take the next steps. The first step in formalizing her business was understanding the legal and organizational side of entrepreneurship. She began researching what it meant to register a company, learning about licenses, permits, and the paperwork required to operate legally. At first, the process seemed overwhelming. Forms, regulations, and fees felt complicated, and she worried she might make mistakes. But she approached the task with the same curiosity and problem-solving mindset that had guided her through running the lemonade stand. Step by step, she completed the registration process, realizing that taking this formal step was an investment in the future of her business. It was more than paperwork. It was a commitment to growth, professionalism, and long-term vision. With the business legally registered, she faced the challenge of managing a larger operation. Her stand had grown so popular that she could no longer handle all the tasks alone. Mixing lemonade, serving customers, managing supplies, and marketing simultaneously was exhausting. She realized it was time to hire help. Carefully, she selected a few trusted friends and neighbors, explaining the importance of teamwork, attention to detail, and customer service. Training them required patience and clear communication, but she quickly learned that delegating tasks allowed her to focus on strategy and growth. She discovered an important lesson in leadership. Empowering others to share responsibility strengthened the business and allowed it to expand. Branding became the next focus. The girl wanted her business to stand out, not just for the product, but for the experience it offered. She designed a logo, refined her lemonade recipes, and created a cohesive visual identity. She thought about packaging, signs, and promotional materials, ensuring that every aspect of her business communicated quality, care, and friendliness. Branding, she realized, was about more than appearance. It was about creating trust and recognition in the minds of customers. Her small stand had grown into a recognizable presence in the neighborhood, and she felt proud of the professional image she was building. Marketing strategies became more sophisticated. She expanded her reach by informing neighbors about her brand, creating simple flyers, and asking loyal customers to spread the word. She experimented with seasonal promotions and themed lemonade flavors, learning how to engage her audience and attract new customers. The girl understood that growing a company required strategic thinking, creativity, and attention to detail. She compared this professional approach to her early days when she relied solely on bright colors and personal charm. The contrast emphasized how much she had learned about entrepreneurship, planning, and communication. Managing finances became more complex as well. She created a budget, tracked revenue and expenses carefully, and planned for future investments. With a small team, multiple flavors, and increasing demand, financial management was essential. She learned to analyze sales trends, identify profitable products, and make informed decisions about purchasing supplies. This experience taught her lessons that went beyond lemonade, about responsibility, planning, and understanding the value of money. She realized that good financial habits were crucial for sustainability and long-term growth. Challenges persisted, even with the formal setup. Equipment sometimes malfunctioned, supplies were delayed, and customer expectations continued to evolve. But the girl approached each obstacle with confidence, drawing on the skills she had developed over months of running the stand. Problem-solving, creativity, leadership, and patience became her tools. She realized that running a company required not only vision, but also adaptability, resilience, and the ability to learn continuously. Each challenge reinforced her understanding that entrepreneurship was a dynamic journey, full of unexpected lessons and opportunities. One particularly meaningful step in transforming the stand into a company was developing a structured workflow. She created schedules for her employees, assigned specific tasks, and set standards for quality and customer service. By organizing operations, she ensured that the business could run smoothly even when she was not directly involved in every step. This process taught her about systems thinking, understanding how different parts of a business work together to create efficiency, consistency, and scalability. Her lemonade stand had evolved from an informal operation to a professional enterprise capable of serving many customers consistently. Leadership lessons were another key outcome of this transformation. The girl learned to motivate her team, handle disagreements, and inspire others to take pride in their work. She discovered that effective leadership meant listening, guiding, and supporting rather than simply directing. By fostering a positive work environment, she encouraged creativity, loyalty, and collaboration. These skills not only improved the functioning of her business, but also helped her grow as an individual, understanding responsibility, empathy, and vision. As the company grew, the girl also focused on innovation. She introduced seasonal flavors, experimented with packaging, and explored ways to reach customers beyond the local neighborhood. She considered small events, promotions, and collaborations with nearby businesses. Each new idea was tested carefully, and feedback was collected to ensure improvement. Through this process, she realized that entrepreneurship was not static. It required constant learning, creativity, and a willingness to adapt. The contrast between her first lemonade stand and the now dynamic, expanding company underscored her growth as a young entrepreneur. Her journey also highlighted the importance of vision. While her stand had started as a simple way to earn a few coins and have fun, her company now had a purpose and direction. She thought about the future, imagining how she could expand operations, develop new products, and make her brand even more recognizable. She understood that a clear vision guided every decision, helping her prioritize tasks, manage resources, and maintain focus amid the complexities of running a business. Vision, she realized, was the compass that guided growth. By the end of this stage, the girl had transformed her small lemonade stand into a professional business. She had registered the company, built a team, developed a brand, created efficient workflows, and learned to manage finances, marketing, and operations. The contrast between her humble beginnings and the professional setup highlighted her growth, perseverance, and ability to learn from experience. What had begun as a small, experimental stand had become a thriving business built on strategy, creativity, and determination. Through this journey, she learned lessons that went far beyond lemonade. The value of planning, leadership, resilience, and vision. The importance of learning from mistakes and experimenting boldly. And the power of transforming a simple idea into something meaningful. Each step, from a small table on a quiet street to a company with a team, brand, and operations, reflected her ability to dream big, work hard, and turn obstacles into opportunities. Her story now served as a guide for others. Starting small was not a limitation, but a foundation. Challenges, failures, and early mistakes were necessary lessons that built the skills, knowledge, and confidence needed to grow. By embracing each step, thinking strategically, and leading with care and vision, she had created a business that reflected her ambition, creativity, and determination. Her lemonade stand was no longer just a summer project. It had become a real company, an achievement that highlighted the power of perseverance, learning, and entrepreneurial spirit. The girl's transformation demonstrated a critical lesson in entrepreneurship. Beginnings do not define outcomes. Even the smallest effort, guided by vision, action, and persistence, can grow into something substantial and impactful. She had moved from selling lemonade on a corner to running a business with structure, strategy, and a growing team. This journey illustrated the importance of dreaming big, taking calculated risks, and learning continuously, lessons that would serve her throughout life, in business and beyond. Lessons learned and values. By the time the girl's lemonade stand had transformed into a thriving company, she had accumulated a wealth of experience, knowledge, and personal growth. Reflecting on her journey, she realized that the most valuable lessons were not just about making lemonade or managing sales. They were about life, mindset, and values. The contrast between the uncertain, nervous girl at the start and the confident, capable young entrepreneur she had become was remarkable. Every step, challenge, and small victory had shaped her into someone who understood persistence, adaptability, customer focus, and financial responsibility. Persistence was the first lesson that stood out. In the early days, she often faced rejection, slow sales, and discouraging mistakes. There were times when the lemonade stand felt like a burden rather than an opportunity. She remembered the hot days when no one stopped by, the spilled lemonade, and the mispriced cups that drove away customers. Yet she refused to give up. She kept showing up, improving her recipes, adjusting her prices, and experimenting with new strategies. Over time, her consistent effort yielded results: regular customers, small profits, and eventually, a thriving business. She realized that persistence was about staying committed even when immediate results were discouraging. This mindset, she understood, applied to everything in life: learning new skills, facing challenges, and pursuing dreams. Adaptability was another crucial lesson. From experimenting with lemonade flavors to navigating competition, supply shortages, and unpredictable weather, she learned that rigidity could easily lead to failure. Early on, she had assumed that simply following her first idea would be enough. But experience taught her that flexibility and openness to change were essential. When a competitor appeared, she didn't panic. She observed, learned, and adapted by introducing unique flavors and creating new promotions. When supplies ran short, she devised backup plans and learned to anticipate demand. Adaptability became a core value, showing her that challenges were not threats to avoid, but opportunities to respond creatively. She realized that being willing to adjust plans, try new approaches, and listen to feedback was key to growth and success. Customer focus was a lesson that transformed not only her business, but her perspective on people. From the very beginning, she noticed that the way she treated customers, warmth, attentiveness, and responsiveness, mattered just as much as the lemonade itself. She learned to listen carefully to preferences, offer small gestures of appreciation, and remember details about regular visitors. Over time, she observed that loyal customers returned not only for the taste of lemonade, but for the experience and connection. This understanding reinforced the value of empathy, communication, and relationship building. She realized that customer focus extended beyond business. It was about creating positive experiences, valuing others' perspectives, and responding thoughtfully to needs. Financial responsibility was another lesson that became increasingly important as the lemonade stand evolved into a company. Initially, money had been a small concern, enough to buy ingredients and earn a few coins. But as her operation expanded, careful budgeting, record-keeping, and planning became essential. She tracked every sale, calculated profits and costs, and learned to make informed decisions about investments in supplies, marketing, and equipment. Financial responsibility taught her the value of foresight, discipline, and accountability. She realized that managing resources wisely allowed her to sustain growth, handle unexpected challenges, and plan for future opportunities. This skill extended beyond business, shaping her understanding of personal responsibility and decision-making. As she reflected on these lessons, the girl recognized how much her mindset had evolved. At the start, she was unsure, cautious, and sometimes discouraged by setbacks. Every mistake felt like failure, and every slow day challenged her confidence. But through experience, she developed resilience, the ability to face setbacks, analyze what went wrong, and take action to improve. She learned to view challenges as opportunities, mistakes as teachers, and effort as the path to growth. The contrast between her initial hesitation and the confidence she now possessed was profound. She had grown not only as an entrepreneur, but also as an individual, developing qualities that would serve her throughout life. Another important realization was the value of vision and goal setting. Initially, her goal had been simple: sell lemonade and perhaps earn a little money. As she progressed, her vision expanded. She began thinking strategically about how to improve recipes, attract more customers, and eventually build a company. She understood that having a clear vision guided every decision, from marketing efforts to staffing, from flavor experimentation to budgeting. Vision became a guiding principle, allowing her to align daily actions with long-term goals and ensuring that every choice contributed to her larger dreams. Through her journey, she also learned about leadership and responsibility. Managing a small team of helpers taught her how to communicate clearly, motivate others, and delegate tasks effectively. She realized that leadership was not about giving orders, but about empowering others, building trust, and encouraging collaboration. By fostering a supportive and organized environment, she ensured that her business could operate smoothly and continue growing. This experience reinforced the value of empathy, accountability, and teamwork. Lessons that extended far beyond the lemonade stand. The girl also discovered the importance of learning continuously. Every mistake, every challenge, and every customer interaction provided insight and knowledge. She began documenting lessons, reflecting on what worked and what didn't, and applying these insights to future decisions. She understood that growth was a continuous process, not a destination, and that curiosity and reflection were essential for improvement. This commitment to learning became a core value, shaping how she approached both business and life. Contrast framing made her progress even clearer. She remembered the nervous girl who hesitated to set up a stand, unsure if anyone would buy her lemonade. She recalled the frustration of mispriced cups, empty streets, and rejected ideas. Now, she was confident in her recipes, organized her operations, managed finances, led a small team, and maintained strong relationships with loyal customers. She had turned obstacles into lessons, setbacks into strategies, and curiosity into knowledge. The contrast highlighted the power of persistence, adaptability, customer focus, and financial responsibility. It showed how consistent effort, reflection, and learning could transform not only a business but a person. Her story was not just about lemonade, it was about character, mindset, and values. She learned that success was not an immediate result, but the outcome of consistent action, thoughtful decision-making, and ethical behavior. She discovered that treating others with respect, listening carefully, and maintaining integrity were as important as any business strategy. These lessons shaped her identity, instilling confidence, resilience, and a sense of purpose. The girl also reflected on the emotional growth she had experienced. Early anxiety and fear had gradually been replaced by self-assurance and optimism. She learned to manage disappointment, celebrate small victories, and find motivation in challenges. Her journey demonstrated that personal growth and professional success were intertwined, each reinforcing the other. By developing values like persistence, adaptability, customer focus, and financial responsibility, she built a foundation not only for business success, but for a meaningful life. By the end of her journey, the girl had become a role model for young entrepreneurs. Her lemonade stand, which started as a small idea and simple effort, had evolved into a company built on skill, vision, and values. She understood that the lessons she had learned were transferable, applicable to any challenge, career, or personal endeavor. Her story illustrated that growth comes from action, reflection, learning, and persistence. She realized that setbacks were temporary, creativity was powerful, and determination was essential. In conclusion, the girl's journey highlighted four key values: persistence, adaptability, customer focus, and financial responsibility. These lessons, learned through experience and reflection, transformed her mindset and shaped her identity. The contrast between who she was at the beginning, a nervous, inexperienced girl, and who she had become, a confident, capable, and visionary entrepreneur, served as an inspiration to others. Her story demonstrated that small beginnings, combined with determination, learning, and thoughtful action, could lead to meaningful achievements and personal growth. The girl had not only built a successful lemonade business, but had cultivated qualities that would guide her throughout life, showing that entrepreneurship is as much about values and mindset as it is about profits and products. As the girl looked back on her journey, she could hardly believe how far she had come. From a small lemonade stand on a quiet street corner to a thriving company with a team, a brand, and loyal customers, her journey was a testament to the power of small ideas, hard work, and determination. Every step, from selling her first cup of lemonade to scaling up operations and formalizing her business, had taught her valuable lessons about perseverance, creativity, and vision. Her story illustrated that no dream is too small, and that even the humblest beginnings could lead to extraordinary achievements when paired with commitment and learning. Her lemonade company now had a recognizable brand in the neighborhood and beyond. She had developed unique flavors, created a welcoming customer experience, and established efficient operations. Her small team of helpers had grown into an enthusiastic group of young entrepreneurs who shared her values of persistence, adaptability, and dedication. Seeing her team thrive and learning alongside her was one of her greatest joys. She realized that success was not just measured by profits or recognition, but by the positive impact she could have on others. Leadership, she understood, was about inspiring, guiding, and empowering others to grow alongside you. Reflecting on the challenges she had faced, competitors, supply shortages, unpredictable weather, and initial skepticism, she recognized that each obstacle had strengthened her. They had taught her resilience, problem-solving, and creativity. Where she once feared failure, she now saw opportunity. Where she once doubted her abilities, she now trusted herself to navigate challenges with confidence. The contrast between her early fears and her current confidence was striking, a reminder that growth is often invisible until reflected upon. These experiences had not only shaped her business acumen, but also molded her character, reinforcing the values that would guide her throughout life. Her future plans were ambitious but grounded in the lessons she had learned. She envisioned expanding her lemonade business further, introducing new products, exploring local partnerships, and perhaps inspiring other young entrepreneurs to follow their own ideas. She knew that growth would require continued learning, creativity, and careful planning. But she was confident that, with persistence and focus, these goals were achievable. She understood that dreams were built incrementally, one small step at a time, each informed by reflection, experimentation, and determination. As she shared her story with her community, she aimed to inspire others to take action on their own ideas. She emphasized that starting small was not a limitation, but an opportunity to learn, test, and grow. Many people believed that only big ideas or immediate success could lead to meaningful achievements, but she had proven otherwise. Small beginnings, when nurtured with effort, creativity, and resilience, could blossom into significant accomplishments. She encouraged everyone, especially young viewers, to identify small, actionable steps toward their goals and to embrace the learning process along the way. She also highlighted the importance of mindset. Success, she explained, is often less about luck and more about the approach to challenges, viewing obstacles as opportunities, learning from mistakes, and remaining adaptable were critical to growth. Maintaining a positive, proactive attitude helped her turn setbacks into lessons and challenges into stepping stones. She encouraged her audience to cultivate curiosity, resilience, and a willingness to take calculated risks, even if the outcome was uncertain. These qualities, she emphasized, were as important as any technical skill in achieving long-term success. The girl reflected on the broader moral of her journey. Her story was not just about lemonade, it was about life, growth, and the power of action. Small ideas, when paired with hard work, perseverance, and learning, could transform into significant achievements. Determination, she realized, was the force that connected effort to results. She reminded her audience that no one starts as an expert and that failures were natural and essential parts of growth. By embracing challenges, learning continuously, and remaining committed to their vision, anyone could turn a simple idea into something meaningful. She also emphasized the importance of community and relationships. From the very beginning, the support of neighbors, friends, and loyal customers had made a difference. Listening to feedback, building trust, and creating positive experiences were essential elements of success. She encouraged viewers to value connections, collaborate with others, and seek guidance when needed. Entrepreneurship, she explained, was not a solitary endeavor. It thrived on shared effort, empathy, and mutual support. By investing in people as much as in ideas, she had built a business that was sustainable, enjoyable, and meaningful. The girl's story also served as a reminder of the importance of vision. Early on, she had only imagined selling a few cups of lemonade, but her ability to dream bigger and plan strategically had allowed her to grow her small stand into a company. Vision, combined with action, had been a driving force behind her success. She encouraged her audience to set clear goals, break them into manageable steps, and pursue them consistently. A vision gives purpose to effort, focus to action, and direction to growth, she explained. Without vision, even hard work could feel aimless. She also reflected on the role of personal growth alongside business growth. Running her lemonade stand had taught her time management, responsibility, empathy, creativity, and leadership. Each challenge and success had contributed not only to the success of her business, but to her development as a capable, thoughtful, and confident individual. She emphasized that pursuing a goal is about more than the end result. It is about learning, evolving, and becoming stronger in the process. These lessons, she explained, would serve anyone in life, whether in business, education, or personal endeavors. In her final message, she encouraged her audience to take the first step toward their dreams, no matter how small. She reminded them that waiting for perfect conditions or big opportunities often led to inaction. The key was to start with what they had, learn along the way, and remain committed to growth. Each small action, repeated consistently, could snowball into something much larger than imagined. Just as she had begun with a single lemonade stand, every dream could begin with a simple, determined step. She concluded by celebrating the joy of achievement, emphasizing that the journey itself was as valuable as the outcome. Every challenge, lesson, and small victory had contributed to her story, shaping her into the entrepreneur and individual she had become. She wanted her audience to feel inspired, empowered, and ready to act. By taking small, deliberate steps, maintaining persistence, and learning continuously, anyone could turn ideas into reality and dreams into tangible accomplishments. Her final words were meant to linger in the minds of her audience, a memorable call to action. No idea is too small, no effort wasted. Start today, take one step, and keep moving forward. Your dreams are waiting, and every small action brings you closer to them. These words captured the essence of her journey: hard work, courage, learning, and vision, and invited viewers to begin their own journey with determination and hope. The girl's story, from a tiny lemonade stand to a thriving business, was a clear illustration that success is a process, not an accident. It required courage to start, persistence to continue, creativity to grow, and reflection to learn. It was a story of transformation, showing that ordinary beginnings could lead to extraordinary outcomes when guided by vision, effort, and values. Her journey was a living example that anyone, regardless of age or circumstance, could achieve remarkable things if they embraced action, learning, and perseverance. Finally, she left her audience with an empowering thought that each step, no matter how small, mattered. Each effort, no matter how modest, contributed to progress, and each challenge, no matter how daunting, offered an opportunity to grow. By believing in themselves, acting consistently, and learning continuously, anyone could create something meaningful, just as she had done with her lemonade stand. Her journey was not only a story of entrepreneurial success, but also a blueprint for personal growth, resilience, and lifelong learning, inspiring everyone to take action toward their dreams today.